introduce yourself for our viewers?
Sure. So my name is Hanifi. I'm from Holland, and I've been in China for about 6-7 years. And yeah, mainly as you see, like in the accounting industry. I'm an accounting professional myself. I'm an international auditing accountant, and mainly focusing on foreign businesses here within QHS.
So Hanif, what brought you to China?
What brought me to China? Quite a complicated question. My story here in China started quite a while back.
Okay.
And I came to China for the first time with my uncle.
Okay.
He already did business here in China. And I was actually not necessarily against coming to China, but I had like my, what should I call it, like my certain impressions of and ideas based on what people always told me. And my uncle, he just told me, like, have you been there? Like, do you know the Chinese people? And I said, no. And so he basically just said, like, then just be quiet.
Okay, now coming to an interesting question, and I'm sure our viewers will be really interested to know. Can you tell us more about your company?
Sure. So as I mentioned, like our cooperation started officially in 2017 between my Dutch firm and my partner's accounting firm, which he established in 2012, as I mentioned. And basically what we did back then was to separate the two firms into Orbit and Best. And the reason why we did that was basically because of the fact that people were more familiar with, like foreigners were more familiar with Orbit, with the Orbit brand, and people within China, like Chinese people, were more familiar with the Best branch. And that is basically why we back then decided to just separate the two names, to keep it in that way, and also to see how it goes, because for me it was new, for my partner it was new, and so we just kept it that way up till this year, and especially this week actually, like since we moved into our new office.
Yes.
And now the Best and the Orbit brand names are going to basically disappear.
Okay.
And are going to make the transition into QHS.
I see, QHS.
QHS Group, to be specific. And the group part is basically because our company doesn't only focus on accounting anymore, but also on legal services, on IPO services, on market research, on international law, on international tax law. So basically all kinds of services which are related to doing business inside and outside of China, we are trying to provide to our clients. And within China we are now at a total of 110 employees.
Okay, it's quite a large company.
Within Qingdao at the moment we have 7 offices in total, and quite recently, like at the beginning of this year, we also set up our subsidiaries in Shanghai, in Guangzhou and in Shenzhen.
Moving on, what do you enjoy most about doing business in China?
What do I enjoy the most about doing business in China? So I should say just the challenge, just the challenge on its own, to be able to expand in a country with which you are not familiar at all. That was the main thing, and also just the opportunities, the chances, the opportunities it brings, which come with it, like with doing business in China. Like it is just a complete different market, and it is just very difficult to imagine for a foreigner.
Yes.
Like especially
It is very difficult at first, yes.
Yeah, especially for a foreigner, as in like a Dutch person, like from a country of like 18 million people, coming to basically a city of 20 million and a country of like more than 1.4 billion people. Like it's just unimaginable, like for someone who has lived for like the majority of his life in such a small country to come over here and to see what actually is possible.
Yeah.
And also like the just the sheer speed, the differences in how fast something can go and can grow.
Okay, now moving on to a slightly different question. What have been some of your greatest challenges operating in China?
My greatest challenge is operating in China.
Yeah.
I think I should answer that one with culture.
Culture, okay.
Yes. And to elaborate on that, like the culture part, like it is not only about language. Language is like the smallest issue you will have as an entrepreneur in another country. But the culture, to overcome the differences in culture, like it is not going from, like me as a Dutch citizen, to go from Holland to Germany. Like these are two different countries, but the culture on their own like are quite similar.
Very similar, yes.
Yeah. But like when you go the distance, like 10,000 kilometers further and come into China and try to overcome such a huge leap, like as in cultural differences, that is just the most difficult part. And also just the way you have to sit, the way you have to talk, the way you have to greet someone, the way, and that is basically when it comes down to the business part, the way you do business.
Yeah.
That is the most difficult part, because a business transaction is not only about like I have the product, you have the money, combine it together, and it's done. No, there is like a huge process in front of it, like talking for hours and hours on end to get that thing realized. But the art of it is, or the difficult thing of it is basically to get that thing realized, to talk and to convince someone with different standards, with different values, to convince him of that you are the one he should do business with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that part has been the most difficult part, like the cultural differences.
Cultural differences, I see.
Yeah. Like even after 7 years having been in China, like from time to time, I still feel that issue is still present.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you for that. Okay, now for a very useful question. Could you share some tips and advice for our future entrepreneurs?
Sure. And I think that is basically an addition to what we just discussed.
Yeah.
Just the challenges within China. And I don't think that it is the main issue about like finding what kind, like trying to find out what kind of business you should be doing. Like first of all, it is definitely something you have to decide based on what you like.
Yeah.
Because that is also what we discussed before. Like you have to like what you do.
Have passion.
Exactly. But the second thing is to add to that issue about culture, to get to know more people.
Network, guys.
Exactly, network, and also not to only be focusing on your own network, especially between foreigners. The main issue often is that they stick together and
Just foreigners.
Yeah, just foreigners. The most important advice I can give you guys is just to snap out of that.
snap out of that
Yeah.
and make more Chinese friends.
Exactly. Get to know everyone, like the garbage man who like comes and picks up your garbage from like the complex you
Yeah.
like you live in.
Wow, seriously.
Because like it might seem that these people are unimportant, but everyone knows someone.
Yeah.
Like even the driver of a company, he might not seem that important, he's just a driver. But that driver often drives government officials, he often drives like the CEO of the company, like the higher ups within a company. And they are often like quite close. And that driver, who might seem as unimportant, might be like the
that
solution.
Link.
Yeah, that link
Yeah.
between what you need and what's the solution to your issues.
Yes.
Actually, like the solution to doing proper business, and
Yeah.
also in expanding your network, especially expanding your culture within the country, like your cultural knowledge in the country which you live in, and in this case China, will also like improve you as a person, like expand your knowledge both on cultural issues and also on business related issues.
Right, yeah, that really makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that. Okay, Hanif, I know you're a very busy man, but I've got one last question for you. What's your plan for the future? What's your goal?
My goal for the future, I don't want to give like a simple answer as in like that it is to grow our company and to earn more money, because that is not the main goal.
Okay.
My main goal especially, and that is perhaps one of the reasons why I decided to start this accounting firm with my partners, to go into this cooperation with my partners back then, is also like because of the fact that I saw how difficult it can be to do business in another country. And I perhaps might have mentioned like I just said like that culture is the main challenge.
Yeah.
It is, but there are also other challenges, as in like rules and regulations which you might not be aware of as a foreigner, and which you need to know, which you also need to learn about. And that was basically the main purpose, main reason why we set up here in China with the foreign branch back then, like as an orbit, focusing on the foreign businesses, like to help foreigners out, to instead of like just everyone on their own trying to figure out how something should be done. Instead of doing it, having to do everything on your own, that there's someone for them to support them, to be able to support them, and even for students within China, like for them to have an opportunity to be able to like grow as a person, as an entrepreneur, or even career-wise, like even if they are looking for a job, like to expand their knowledge within China, to grow, to get a career. That is also one of our like goals.
Yeah.
For foreigners, just.
Well, it's really fantastic, fantastic mission.
Yeah.
And I just want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to interview you. And have an awesome day. Hello.
Hello,
What's your name?
George.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Can you tell me how you feel about working here at QHS?
Actually, I really enjoy working here because I could embrace the different culture and get along with the people around the world with a diverse background.
I see. Thank you for that.